Commander Jake Harrison stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling very small. The Galactic Council Hall was huge, with 12 floating platforms arranged in a circle. Each platform held the representatives of different alien species that ruled the galaxy. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds formed near the top. Harrison wore his best Earth uniform, dark blue with silver insignia. Next to him stood Dr. Lisa Morgan, a woman with short brown hair and tired eyes from months of research. On his other side was Captain Ryan Bell, a tall man with gray hair and a stern face that had seen too many battles. The three humans looked up at the alien counselors who floated above them on their platforms. Each species looked different and strange. The Zeltharians had purple skin and 4 arms. The Altarians looked like giant insects with shiny shells. The Krillians were covered in scales and had sharp teeth. At the highest platform sat Prime Minister Kexthul of the Zeltharians. He was the leader of the council and clearly thought very highly of himself. His 4 arms moved as he spoke, and his voice echoed through the chamber. "So, the humans from the small planet Earth have come to visit us," Kexthul said in a mocking tone. "How interesting. What brings you before the council today?" Harrison stepped forward and cleared his throat. "Honored council members, we come with an urgent warning. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected something terrible waking up in the outer rim of the galaxy." Dr. Morgan activated a holographic projector. Images filled the air above them, showing star charts and energy readings. "We call them the Devourers," she said. "They appear to be an ancient species that has been sleeping for millions of years. But now they're stirring to life, and our data suggests they're extremely dangerous." The alien counselors looked at the images with bored expressions. Some of them weren't even paying attention. Ambassador Yorchin of the Altarians was cleaning his antenna with one of his legs. "Our analysis shows they've awakened across 17 different star systems," Captain Bell added. "The energy signatures are unlike anything we've ever seen. They appear to be biological in nature, but on a massive scale." Kexthul laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Biological threats? Your species has existed for what, a few thousand years? Of recorded history? We ancient civilizations have ruled this galaxy for millions of years. What could primitive humans possibly know that we have missed?" Other counselors joined in the laughter. The sound filled the chamber and made the humans feel even smaller. Ambassador Yorchin spoke up, his insect-like voice clicking and buzzing. "Earth contributes nothing to our galactic alliance except grain shipments and those amusing entertainment broadcasts. Perhaps you should focus on growing your crops instead of chasing shadows in space." Dr. Morgan's face turned red with anger, but she kept her voice steady. "With respect, honored ambassador, we have 17 monitoring stations tracking these entities. The energy readings are consistent across all locations. This is not imagination or fear. This is real scientific data." She changed the holographic display to show detailed energy patterns. "Look at these readings. The biosignatures are enormous. Each one is the size of a small moon, and they're all moving toward inhabited systems." The Krillian representative, General Vexmar, leaned forward. His reptilian face showed sharp teeth as he spoke. "Even if these devourers exist, which we doubt, the Krillian Empire has the most powerful military in the galaxy. We have conquered entire star systems. What could possibly threaten us?" Harrison felt desperate. These aliens weren't listening. They couldn't see past their own pride and arrogance. "Please just send a scout ship to investigate. One ship to verify what we're telling you. If we're wrong, then you can laugh at us all you want. But if we're right..." "If you're right about what?" Kexthul interrupted. "That some ancient monster is going to destroy our mighty civilizations? That Earth, the most insignificant planet in the Alliance, has discovered a threat that we wise ancients missed?" The other counselors murmured agreement. Their voices mixed together in different alien languages, but the meaning was clear. They thought the humans were fools. Dr. Morgan tried one more time. "The mathematical models show a pattern. These awakenings happen in cycles roughly every 3 million years. Each time, entire regions of the galaxy go silent. No radio signals, no life signs, nothing. Then millions of years later, life slowly returns and evolves again. Mathematics, scoffed the depths dweller representative, speaking through a water-filled breathing apparatus. Numbers on a computer screen. We have lived through history, human. We have seen real threats come and go. Your people are children playing with toys they don't understand. Harrison's patience finally broke. Children. We may be young, but we're not stupid. We've shown you scientific evidence. We've presented detailed analysis. We've asked for nothing except that you take this seriously. All we want is for someone to investigate. Kexthul's forearms waved dismissively. The council has heard enough. We vote on this matter now, all in favor of ignoring these human fantasies and ordering Earth to stop spreading fear throughout the galaxy. Raise your appendages. One by one, all 12 counselors raised their arms, claws, tentacles, or whatever they used to vote. The vote was unanimous. Every single alien species voted against listening to Earth's warning. The decision is made, Kexthul announced. Earth will cease this fear-mongering immediately. You will return to your proper place as junior members of this alliance. Grow your food, send your entertainment broadcasts, and leave the important decisions to your betters. Harrison felt sick to his stomach. Dr. Morgan looked like she might cry. Captain Bell's jaw was clenched so tight that veins showed on his forehead. You're making a mistake, Harrison said quietly. A terrible mistake. The only mistake, Kexthul replied, was allowing your primitive species into this alliance in the first place. Perhaps we should reconsider that decision as well. The three humans were escorted from the chamber by alien guards. As they walked through the corridors of the council building, none of them spoke. The weight of failure pressed down on them like a heavy blanket. Outside, their ship waited for them. The Independence was small compared to the massive alien vessels around it, but it was home. As they boarded, Captain Bell finally broke the silence. They'll regret this, he said grimly. When the time comes, when their worlds are burning and their people are dying, they'll remember who tried to save them. Harrison nodded slowly. Maybe, but by then it might be too late for all of us. As their ship lifted off from the alien world, Dr. Morgan stared out the window at the council building growing smaller below them. What do we do now? She asked. We prepare, Harrison answered. We prepare for the worst and hope we're wrong. But if we're right... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The Independence jumped to hyperspace, carrying 3 humans back to Earth with the weight of the galaxy's future on their shoulders. Behind them, the alien counselors returned to their comfortable lives, certain in their superiority and completely unaware that they had just sealed their own fate. 6 months had passed since the humiliating meeting at the Galactic Council. Earth had not been sitting idle. In hidden bases across human space, Admiral Pete Collins worked day and night with General Amy Turner to prepare for what they all knew was coming. Collins was an older man with white hair and deep lines around his eyes from years of military service. He stood in the command center of Luna Base, Earth's secret military installation on the moon. Around him, dozens of officers monitored screens showing the positions of human ships throughout the galaxy. Report, Collins said to his aide, a young lieutenant with nervous energy. All monitoring stations are operational, sir. We have eyes on 43 different systems now, not just the original 17. The energy readings are getting stronger. General Turner entered the command center. She was a tough woman in her 50s with short black hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She had been Collins' friend for 20 years, and they worked together like a well-oiled machine. The Devourers are definitely moving, Turner said, pointing to a large display screen. 3 more systems showing activity in the past week. Whatever these things are, they're waking up faster. Meanwhile, in a research facility deep underground on Earth, Dr. Lisa Morgan was working with her partner, Dr. Kevin Wright. Wright was a thin man with glasses who rarely slept anymore. His desk was covered with coffee cups and data tablets. Lisa, you need to see this, Wright said, his voice shaking with excitement and fear. I've been analyzing the biological signatures from our long-range sensors. These Devourers, they're not natural. Dr. Morgan looked up from her own research. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't been sleeping much either. What do you mean, not natural? Wright brought up a complex genetic analysis on his computer screen. Look at this DNA structure. It's too perfect, too organized. Someone built these things. They're weapons, Lisa. Biological weapons designed to... He paused, reading more data. To cleanse entire star systems of life. Cleanse them for what? I don't know. But according to this analysis, they don't just kill civilizations. They consume them completely. Every trace of biological matter gets absorbed and processed. They leave nothing behind. Dr. Morgan felt cold despite the warm underground facility. How often does this happen? Based on the geological evidence I've found, roughly every 3 million years. Like clockwork. Something wakes them up, they consume everything in their path, then they go back to sleep until it's time for the next cycle. While the scientists worked to understand the threat, the first attacks began. The peaceful Meridian colonies were known throughout the galaxy for their beautiful art and music. Their cities floated in the clouds of gas giant planets, creating sculptures from crystallized atmosphere. On a Tuesday morning, all communication from the Meridian system stopped. Just stopped. No distress calls, no final messages, nothing. One moment they were broadcasting their daily art programs to the rest of the galaxy. The next moment, there was only silence. The Krillian Empire, which had been the most dismissive of Earth's warnings, sent 3 battle fleets to investigate what happened to the Meridians. General Vexmar himself led the expedition in his flagship, the Dominance. The Krillians were confident in their military might. They had conquered dozens of star systems with their advanced weapons and aggressive tactics. The 3 fleets entered the Meridian system expecting to find pirates or rebels. Instead, they found empty space where planets used to be. Not destroyed planets. Not dead planets, no planets at all, just asteroid fields of bare rock floating in space, completely stripped of any biological matter. What in the depths of space happened here? General Vexmar growled to his officers. His reptilian face showed confusion and growing fear. Before anyone could answer, the sensors detected something massive approaching from the outer system. It was biological, but larger than anything they had ever seen. The sensor readings showed it was the size of a small continent, pulsing with strange energy patterns. All ships prepare for battle, Vexmar ordered. But the thing that emerged from the darkness was beyond their comprehension. It looked like a living mountain of flesh and tentacles, covered in what appeared to be mouths the size of city blocks. As they watched in horror, smaller creatures the size of battleships separated from the main body and moved toward the Krillian fleets. The battle lasted exactly 14 minutes. The Krillian weapons, designed to destroy metal ships and energy shields, had almost no effect on the biological attackers. The creatures seemed to absorb the energy blasts and grow stronger. One by one, the proud Krillian warships were consumed, their hulls dissolved, and their crews absorbed into the mass of the Devourers. General Vexmar sent one final message before his flagship was destroyed. Warning to all civilizations. The humans were right. The humans were right about everything. Captain Susan Davis of the Earthship Vigilant received that message while hiding behind a dead moon in a nearby system. Davis was a careful woman who had served in Earth's space Navy for 15 years. She had been ordered to observe and report, not to engage. From her hidden position, Davis watched through long-range sensors as the Devourers finished consuming the Krillian fleets. But what she saw next made her blood freeze. The continent-sized creature turned toward the dead planets and began to grow even larger. Massive tentacles, each one miles long, reached out and began to strip the remaining rocky material from the planets themselves. They're not just consuming life, Davis whispered to her science officer. They're consuming everything. They're turning entire worlds into raw material. Her science officer, a young man named Tony Clark, checked his instruments with shaking hands. Captain, the energy readings suggest they're converting all matter into some kind of biological mass. They're literally eating solar systems. Davis knew she had to get this information back to Earth. The Vigilant was a fast scout ship, built for speed rather than fighting. She ordered her crew to prepare for immediate departure. Get us out of here now, she commanded. Maximum speed, direct course for Earth. As the Vigilant jumped to hyperspace, Davis recorded an emergency message for Admiral Collins. Admiral, the situation is worse than we thought. Much worse. The Devourers don't just destroy civilizations, they erase them. Completely. And sir, they're heading toward the core worlds. We have maybe weeks before they reach the major population centers. Back on Earth, Admiral Collins received Davis's message in his Luna Base command center. General Turner was standing next to him when the recording played. Both experienced military officers went pale as they watched the sensor data from the Meridian system. Dear God, Turner whispered. How do you fight something like that? Collins was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to his communications officer. Send orders to all fleet commanders. Begin protocol exodus immediately, and get me a direct line to Dr. Morgan. Protocol exodus, sir? The young officer asked. Our contingency plan for species survival, Collins explained grimly. We always knew this day might come. We just hoped we'd have more time to prepare. In her underground laboratory, Dr. Morgan received the call from Admiral Collins. Wright was with her, still analyzing the Devourer biological data. Doctor, Collins said over the secure communication line. How long do we have? Based on their movement patterns and the rate they're consuming systems. Maybe 3 weeks before they reach the first major Galactic Council worlds, 6 weeks before they could threaten Earth. And our defensive options? Dr. Morgan looked at Wright, who shook his head sadly. Admiral, we don't have weapons that can stop them. These things are like living planets. But we might have something else. Something that could help us survive what's coming. What do you mean? Kevin made a discovery about Earth's biosphere. Our planet is unique in ways we never realized. The Devourers might be the ultimate predators, but they have weaknesses, and Earth might be the key to exploiting those weaknesses. Collins nodded slowly. Then we better hope the galaxy is ready to listen to us now, because like it or not, we're about to become their only hope for survival. As the call ended, alarms began sounding throughout the Earth Defense Network. More systems were going silent. The Devourers were no longer just awakening. They were feeding and they were hungry for more. The emergency holographic communication came through at 3 a.m, Earth time. Admiral Pete Collins was pulled from his sleep by urgent alarms throughout Luna Base. When he arrived in the command center, still putting on his uniform jacket, he found the most shocking sight of his military career. Prime Minister Kexthul of the Zeltharians was on the main screen, but he looked nothing like the proud, arrogant leader who had dismissed Earth's warning 6 months ago. His purple skin was pale, his forearms shook with fear, and his eyes darted around like a cornered animal. Admiral Collins, please, you must help us, Kexthul begged. 3 of our council member species have been completely destroyed. The Meridians, the Krillians, and the Hexapods are gone. Not defeated, not conquered. Gone. There's nothing left of their worlds except floating rocks. Collins sat down slowly, in his command chair. General Turner, who had arrived moments after him, stood at his side with her arms crossed. Both humans looked at the alien leader who had laughed at them just months before. And what exactly do you expect Earth to do about it? Collins asked calmly. Kexthul's voice cracked with desperation. You predicted this. Your species warned us. You must have weapons, defenses, something. Please, we're begging you. Commander Jake Harrison, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, entered the command center just as Kexthul was pleading. Harrison had been commanding Earth's defensive preparations and looked exhausted from weeks of non-stop work. Admiral Collins, Harrison said quietly, the Altarian home system just went dark. We're receiving their final transmissions now. Kexthul heard this and made a sound like a wounded animal. The Altarians too? But they had defensive platforms around every planet. They had energy shields that could stop asteroids. Apparently, not strong enough to stop the Devourers, Harrison replied coldly. Collins leaned forward toward the holographic projection. Prime Minister Kexthul, let me be very clear about something. We don't have weapons that can stop these creatures. What we have is something you refused to listen to 6 months ago. We have preparation. Dr. Lisa Morgan entered the command center carrying several data tablets. She looked tired but determined. Behind her came Dr. Kevin Wright, whose appearance showed he hadn't slept in days. "Admiral," Dr. Morgan said, "we're ready to brief the Council on what we've discovered." Collins nodded. "Put them all on screen." The holographic display expanded to show the emergency session of what remained of the Galactic Council. Only 9 species were left out of the original 12, and their representatives looked terrified. Ambassador Yorchin of the Altarians was missing, probably dead along with his homeworld. Dr. Morgan stepped forward and activated her presentation. Star charts and biological analysis filled the air above the command center. "Honored council members," she began, her voice steady despite the situation. "We've spent the last 6 months studying the Devourers. We now understand what they are, and why they exist." The holographic display changed to show ancient star charts and geological data. The Devourers are not a natural species. They were created approximately 50 million years ago by a civilization that no longer exists. They are biological weapons designed to cleanse the galaxy of what their creators considered inferior life forms. General Vexmar, the only surviving Krillian leader, spoke up from his refugee ship. "Cleanse the galaxy? For what purpose?" Dr. Wright took over the presentation. "Every few million years, the Devourers awaken and consume all advanced biological life in the galaxy. Then they return to dormancy, allowing evolution to start over. It's a cycle that has repeated many times throughout galactic history." "But why?" asked the Depths Dweller representative, her voice bubbling through her water-filled breathing apparatus. "Because," Dr. Morgan continued, "the Devourers have a crucial weakness. They cannot properly digest certain rare Earth elements and specific genetic markers found predominantly in younger evolutionary lines. This is why they go dormant between feeding cycles. They need time for new life to evolve into forms they can consume." The alien counselors looked confused. Kexthul spoke for all of them. "I don't understand what this means for us." Harrison stepped forward, his face grim but confident. "It means that some species are naturally resistant to the Devourers. And it turns out that Earth's biosphere is highly resistant." The holographic display changed to show detailed analysis of Earth's unique properties. "Our planet's unusual magnetic field, its specific mineral composition, and the evolutionary path that created human life have produced something unexpected," Dr. Morgan explained. "Earth-based life forms contain trace elements that are actually toxic to the Devourers." "Toxic?" General Vexmar asked. "Not enough to kill them," Dr. Wright clarified, "but enough to make them avoid Earth-touched systems when possible. We've been working for months to synthesize these protective compounds." Collins stood up from his command chair. "We've developed a delivery system that can turn any planet or space station into a Devourer repellent zone. Our ships can seed entire star systems with protective particles." The alien counselors began talking excitedly among themselves in their various languages. Hope appeared on their faces for the first time since the crisis began. "How much of this protective compound do you have?" Kexthul asked eagerly. Harrison answered, and his words fell like hammer blows. "Enough to protect maybe 1/10 of the remaining inhabited systems in the galaxy. We have to choose who lives and who dies." The excited chatter stopped immediately. The alien faces went pale again. Collins stepped next to Harrison. "The production process is extremely complex and requires resources that are only found in Earth's solar system. We cannot make more quickly than we already are. Then you must prioritize the most important worlds," Kexthul said desperately. "The major population centers, the industrial planets—" "No," General Turner said firmly. "Earth will decide the priorities." The alien counselors looked shocked. They had never heard a human speak to them so directly before. Harrison pulled up another display, this one showing Earth's terms. Complete governmental restructuring of the Galactic Alliance, with Earth as the senior partner. Full access to all alien technology and manufacturing capabilities. Transfer of all military command structures to human leadership. Formal recognition of humanity as the dominant species in galactic affairs. Kexthul's forearms waved frantically. "You're talking about surrendering our sovereignty, about making our ancient civilization subservient to a species that has barely learned to travel between stars." "Yes," Collins said simply. That's exactly what we're talking about. This is blackmail, shouted the Depths Dweller representative. No, Harrison replied coldly. This is reality. You chose to ignore our warnings when you could have prepared. You chose to dismiss us as primitives when we offered to work together. Now the galaxy is burning, and we're the only ones with a fire extinguisher. Dr. Morgan looked uncomfortable with the political maneuvering, but she understood the necessity. The Devourers are consuming star systems faster than we can evacuate them. Every hour we spend arguing is another billion lives lost. The remaining council members huddled together, speaking in urgent whispers. Finally, Kexthul spoke for the group. What guarantee do we have that humanity will honor its agreements? What's to stop you from taking our technology and leaving? Us to die anyway? Collins smiled grimly. The same thing that brought us here in the first place. We're the species that tried to save you when we had no obligation to do so. We're the species that prepared for this catastrophe instead of ignoring it. We're the species that wants to preserve life in the galaxy, not destroy it. You have 1 hour to decide, Harrison added. After that, we begin protecting only those systems that have agreed to our terms. The Devourers won't wait for your politics. As the holographic conference ended, Collins turned to his officers. Begin preparations for Operation Guardian. Whether they agree or not, we're going to save as much of the galaxy as we can. General Turner checked her tactical displays. Admiral, we're tracking 17 Devourer swarms now. They're heading for the core worlds. If the Council doesn't agree soon, then they'll learn the price of arrogance, Harrison finished, and we'll protect whoever is smart enough to accept our help. Outside the Luna Base Command Center, Earth's defensive fleets were already moving. Humanity had spent 6 months preparing for this moment. Now they would find out if the galaxy was ready to accept a new reality. Earth was no longer the insignificant little planet on the outer rim. Earth was the only thing standing between civilization and complete extinction. The remaining Galactic Council species had agreed to Earth's terms, but several of them were already planning betrayal before the ink was dry on their surrender documents. The Zeltharians were the most ambitious in their treachery. 2 weeks after, receiving their first shipment of Earth's protective compounds, Prime Minister Kexthul called a secret meeting with his top scientists and military leaders. They gathered in a hidden facility deep beneath the surface of Zephyria Prime, the Zeltharian homeworld. Have our researchers made any progress? Kexthul asked Dr. Veltar, his chief scientist. Dr. Veltar was a thin Zeltharian with nervous mannerisms. His forehands moved constantly as he spoke. Prime Minister, we've managed to isolate some of the active compounds in the human protective formula, but the molecular structure is incredibly complex. There appear to be hidden elements that we cannot identify. General Mordak, the Zeltharian military commander, slammed his fist on the table. We cannot remain subservient to these primitive humans. The Zeltharian Empire has ruled this sector for 3 million years. We will not bow to creatures who have barely learned to leave their home planet. Kexthul nodded agreement. Once we reverse engineer their technology, we'll eliminate the humans and return the galaxy to proper leadership. Our leadership. Wando. The Zeltharians didn't know was that Dr. Lisa Morgan had anticipated exactly this kind of betrayal. Every protective compound given to alien species contained hidden nanoscale triggers that could be activated remotely. It was Dr. Kevin Wright's idea, based on his deep distrust of the alien council members. Colonel Danny Hayes led the special operations team that discovered the Zeltharian plot. Hayes was a quiet man with sharp eyes and 20 years of military intelligence experience. He had been monitoring alien communications since the treaty was signed, looking for exactly this kind of activity. Admiral Harrison, Hayes reported during their secure briefing, the Zeltharians have 3 separate research facilities working on reverse engineering our protective compounds. They've also been moving military assets into position around their core worlds. Admiral Jake Harrison, now the Supreme Commander of all Galactic Defense Forces, looked at the intelligence reports with disgust but not surprise. How long before they think they can duplicate our technology? Their best estimate is 6 months, sir, but they're wrong. Dr. Morgan's molecular locks are beyond their current scientific capability. They'd need at least 50 years of research to crack the formula. Harrison nodded. Too bad they don't have 50 years. He activated his secure communication system. Dr. Morgan, this is Harrison. We have confirmation of Zeltharian betrayal. Authorization to activate protocol cleansing. Dr. Morgan's voice came through the speaker, tired but resolute. Understood, Admiral. All Zeltharian compounds will be deactivated in 60 minutes. That should give their population time to realize what's happening. Hayes looked uncomfortable. Sir, we're talking about an entire civilization. Billions of lives. Harrison's face was stone. They made their choice when they dismissed our warnings, 8 months ago. They made it again when they signed a treaty they intended to break. Live with the consequences, Colonel. Meanwhile, the devourer swarm that had consumed the Altarian system was approaching Zeltharian space. The massive biological ships moved through space like living mountains, their surfaces covered in mouths and tentacles that writhed constantly. On Zephyria Prime, the protective compounds that had been seeded throughout the atmosphere began to break down. The nanoscale triggers Dr. Morgan had hidden in the formula activated simultaneously across all Zeltharian worlds. Prime Minister Kexthul was in his palace when the alarm started sounding. His science advisor, Dr. Veltar, burst into the chamber with terror in his 4 eyes. Prime Minister, the protective compounds are failing. All of them everywhere at the same time. Kexthul felt his blood turn cold. Failing? How is that possible? I don't know. It's like they were designed to self-destruct. Dr. Veltar's voice rose to a panic. Sir, our sensors are detecting devourer biosignatures entering the outer system. They'll be here in less than 6 hours. Kexthul grabbed his communication device with all 4 hands. Get me Admiral Harrison. Get me the human fleet. Get me anyone. When Harrison's image appeared on the screen, his face showed no emotion at all. Behind him, Colonel Hayes stood at attention watching the conversation. Admiral Harrison, please. Kexthul begged. The protective compounds have failed. The devourers are coming. You have to help us. I'm afraid that's not possible, Prime Minister. What do you mean it's not possible? We have a treaty. You're supposed to protect us. Harrison leaned forward slightly. We had a treaty that you were actively working to betray. We discovered your secret research facilities, your plans to reverse engineer our technology, and your intention to eliminate humanity once you had what you wanted. Kexthul's face went through several shades of purple. You knew? We've known from the beginning. Dr. Morgan included safeguards in every compound we gave you. We could activate or deactivate your protection anytime we chose. Please. Kexthul's voice cracked. We were wrong, we were fools. Don't let our children pay for our arrogance. Don't let billions of innocent people die because of our mistakes. Hayes shifted uncomfortably behind Harrison, but the Admiral's expression never changed. You made your choice when you dismissed our warnings, Harrison said coldly. You made it again when you tried to betray us. Now live with the consequences, for however long you have left. The communication ended. Kexthul stared at the blank screen for several moments before the reality hit him. The Zeltharian civilization had less than 6 hours to live. Dr. Morgan was in her laboratory when she received the reports of the Zeltharian system's final hours. The devourers had arrived exactly as predicted and began their systematic consumption of all biological matter. The proud Zeltharian civilization, which had ruled their sector of the galaxy for millions of years, was completely erased in 18 hours. Captain Susan Davis, now commanding a reconnaissance squadron, observed the aftermath from a safe distance. The Zeltharian worlds had been stripped down to bare rock, just like all the other systems the devourers had consumed. Dr. Morgan, Davis reported, the Zeltharian system is completely clean. No biological signatures remaining. The devourers are already moving toward their next target. Dr. Morgan closed her eyes. She had supported the strategic necessity of allowing the Zeltharians to die, but watching it happen still made her feel sick. How many casualties, Captain? Estimated 12 billion sentients across 7 worlds, Doctor. 12 billion. Doctor, Morgan repeated quietly. She looked at her research assistant, Tony Clark. We've become judge, jury, and executioner for entire civilizations. Tony, a young man who had been working with her since the crisis began, looked troubled. Dr. Morgan, Are we doing the right thing? Letting entire species die to maintain our power? Dr. Morgan was quiet for a long moment. We're doing the necessary thing, Tony. Sometimes those are the same. Sometimes they're not. News of the Zeltharian extinction spread quickly through the remaining alien civilizations. The message was clear. Humanity was serious about their demands for loyalty and obedience. Several other species that had been quietly planning their own betrayals immediately abandoned those plans. Admiral Pete Collins, now serving as Earth's senior strategic advisor, met with the remaining council members via holographic conference. The alien leaders looked even more frightened than before. The Zeltharians made a choice, Collins told them simply. They chose betrayal over cooperation. The consequences speak for themselves. Ambassador Yorchen's replacement, a younger Altarian named Kiktel, spoke nervously. Admiral Collins, we want to assure you that the Altarian refugee fleets have no intention of betraying our agreement with Earth. Good, Collins replied, because the next Devourer swarm is heading for the industrial worlds in the Cygnus sector. We'll be protecting the systems that have shown genuine cooperation with Earth's leadership. General Vexmar, speaking from his command ship filled with Krillian refugees, added, the remaining Krillian forces pledge complete loyalty to human command. We've seen what happens to those who oppose you. Harrison joined the conference from his flagship. We don't want fear-based loyalty, General. We want partnership. But partnership requires trust, and trust must be earned through actions, not words. After the conference ended, Harrison found himself alone in his command center. Colonel Hayes entered and saluted. Admiral, the other alien species are falling in line. The depths dwellers have surrendered their entire industrial output to human oversight. The crystal beings of Rigel have offered to share all their technological databases. And the refugees from the destroyed worlds? We're processing them as quickly as possible, sir. The ones who prove useful are being integrated into our defensive efforts. The others, Hayes shrugged. The others are still people, Colonel. Frightened, displaced people whose worlds were destroyed. Hayes looked surprised by Harrison's comment. Yes, sir, but they're also former enemies who only respect strength. Harrison walked to the window of his command center and looked out at the stars. Maybe so, but we need to remember that we're trying to save civilization, not replace one tyranny with another. 1 year had passed since the first Devourer attacks, and the galaxy was completely transformed. What had once been a confederation of proud, ancient civilizations was now the Terran Galactic Republic, ruled from a massive orbital station above. Earth Admiral Jake Harrison, now holding the title of Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, stood in the command center of Haven Station. The facility was 10 times larger than any previous human space construction, built with technology and resources taken from the surviving alien civilizations. Through the massive windows of his office, Harrison could see Earth below, still blue and green and beautiful, but everything else had changed. Alien ships moved in carefully controlled patterns around the station, their crews now serving under human commanders. General Amy Turner entered the command center, carrying reports from across human-controlled space. Turner had aged considerably. In the past year, her black hair now showing streaks of gray from the stress of managing a galactic empire. Status report, General, Harrison said without turning from the window. All major systems are secure, Supreme Commander. The Altarian agricultural specialists have increased food production by 30% under human oversight. The Krillian auxiliary units have proven effective in patrol duties. The depths dwellers have established mining operations on 17 worlds that were too dangerous for our own people to work. Harrison nodded. The reorganization had been brutally efficient. Each surviving alien species had been assigned roles based on their natural abilities and the resources they could provide. None of them held positions of real authority anymore. What about resistance movements? Turner's expression darkened. 3 incidents this month. A group of Zeltharian survivors tried to sabotage a protective compound facility on Kepler 442b. Some radical Krillians attempted to steal weapons from our depot on Vega Station. And there were riots on the Altarian refugee ships. How were they handled? The Zeltharian saboteurs were executed publicly as an example to others. The Krillian weapons thieves were sent to labor camps on the mining worlds. The Altarian rioters were relocated to different ships and their food rations reduced. Harrison finally turned from the window. His face showed the weight of command, with new lines around his eyes and a hardness that hadn't been there a year ago. Is that really necessary, Amy? The food rations? Turner looked surprised by the question. Sir, they need to understand that rebellion has consequences. Fear keeps them in line. Fear also breeds hatred, and hatred leads to more rebellion. Before Turner could respond, an aide approached with an urgent message. Lieutenant Sarah Brooks, a young officer who had joined the command staff after the war began, saluted smartly. Supreme Commander, we have reports from Captain Davis's deep space expedition. She says it's extremely urgent. Harrison activated the communication system. Captain Susan Davis appeared on the main screen, transmitting from her exploration vessel, Pathfinder. She looked excited but also deeply worried. Supreme Commander, we found something at the galactic core. Something big. The image changed to show sensor readings of a massive artificial structure. It was clearly not natural, with geometric patterns and energy emissions that suggested advanced technology. What are we looking at, Captain? It's a construct, sir, bigger than anything we've ever seen. Our best estimate is that it's roughly the size of Earth's moon, but it's clearly artificial. And sir, it's been broadcasting signals. Dr. Lisa Morgan, now serving as Director of Galactic Scientific Research, entered the command center just in time to hear Davis's report. She had been working on a new research project and looked tired from long hours in the laboratory. What kind of signals? Dr. Morgan asked. The same frequency patterns we detected from the Devourers before they awakened, Davis replied. This thing has been controlling them, all of them. Every Devourer swarm in the galaxy has been following commands from this structure. Harrison felt cold despite the warm command center. Are you saying someone is directing the Devourers? Not someone, sir. Something. We managed to get close enough to scan the structure's interior. There are massive computer systems inside, but also other things. Biological components that we can't identify. It's like someone combined technology with living tissue. Dr. Morgan stepped closer to the screen. Captain, how old do you estimate this structure to be? Based on the energy decay patterns and material composition, Dr. Morgan, we think it's been there for at least 50 million years, maybe longer. The implications hit everyone in the command center at the same time. This structure had been controlling the Devourers since before any current galactic civilization existed. It had been orchestrating the cycles of destruction and renewal for millions of years. Admiral Pete Collins, now serving as Earth's senior advisor despite his advanced age, entered the command center with the help of a walking cane. Collins was nearly 70, but his mind was still sharp. Supreme Commander, Collins said slowly, if this structure has been controlling the Devourers for 50 million years, then everything we've experienced so far might be just the beginning. Dr. Kevin Wright, Dr. Morgan's research partner, appeared on a secondary screen from his laboratory. His hair had gone completely white from stress, and he looked even thinner than before. I've been analyzing the data Captain Davis transmitted, Wright said. The structure isn't just controlling the Devourers. It's been studying the galactic response to the attacks. It's learning. Learning what? Harrison asked. How to overcome resistance. Every time a civilization develops defenses against the Devourers, this structure records the information and develops countermeasures. It's been doing this for millions of years. Dr. Morgan looked at the sensor data with growing alarm. Kevin, if this structure has been observing our defensive efforts, then it knows about our protective compounds, Wright finished. It knows how we've been stopping the Devourers, and it's probably figuring out how to counter our defenses. Harrison sat down heavily in his command chair. The weight of galactic leadership suddenly felt even heavier. Captain Davis, what's the structure doing now? It's powering up, sir. Energy readings have increased by 300% in the last 6 hours. And sir, we're detecting movement inside. Lots of movement. Turner stepped forward. Supreme, Commander, we should attack this structure immediately. Hit it with everything we have before it can complete whatever it's planning. With what weapons? Collins asked. General, This structure is the size of a moon and has been operating for 50 million years. Our most powerful weapons would probably feel like insect bites to it. Dr. Morgan was studying the sensor data intently. There might be another option. Jake, this structure is clearly some kind of control center. If we could find a way to communicate with it, maybe we could negotiate. Negotiate? Turner looked incredulous. Lisa, this thing has been orchestrating genocide for millions of years. Maybe, Dr. Morgan replied. Or maybe it's been testing civilizations, looking for something specific. Harrison looked around at his advisors. These people had helped him save the galaxy once. Now they were facing something even more dangerous than the Devourers. Captain Davis, Harrison said, I want you to maintain your distance from that structure but keep monitoring it. Don't take any action until further orders. Understood, sir. As the communication ended, Lieutenant Brooks approached with another report. Supreme Commander, we're receiving communications from the Outer Rim territories. Several Devourer swarms that had gone dormant are awakening again, but these ones are different. Different how? They're not responding to our protective compounds, sir. It's like they've been upgraded. Harrison closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his expression was grim but determined. General Turner, recall all fleet commanders for an emergency meeting. Dr. Morgan, I want your best people analyzing every piece of data we have on that structure. Admiral Collins, begin preparations for a possible evacuation of Earth. Collins raised an eyebrow. Evacuation, Supreme Commander. If this structure can upgrade the Devourers to counter our defenses, then nowhere in the galaxy is safe. We need to be ready for anything. As his staff hurried to carry out their orders, Harrison returned to the window overlooking Earth. The planet that had once been dismissed as insignificant was now the center of galactic civilization. But if they couldn't find a way to stop whatever was coming from the galactic core, it might also become the galaxy's tomb. Outside the station, alien ships continued their patrols, their crews unaware that their human protectors were facing a threat that made the Devourers look like a minor problem. The new galactic order that humanity had built through strength and determination was about to face its greatest test, and this time, there might not be any warnings to ignore or preparations that could save them. This time they would have to face the unknown with nothing but their courage and the hope that being human might be enough. The ancient structure at the galactic core had fully awakened, and its response was beyond humanity's worst fears. Dr. Kevin Wright stared at the readings coming from Captain Davis's deep space monitoring equipment with the horrified fascination of a man watching his own execution. Supreme Commander, Wright said over the communication system, his voice shaking, the structure is releasing some kind of signal. It's not just waking up dormant Devourers, it's creating new ones. Admiral Jake Harrison stood in the command center of Haven Station, surrounded by holographic displays showing the deteriorating situation across the galaxy. The enhanced Devourers were not just resistant to Earth's protective compounds, they seemed to feed on them, growing stronger with each encounter. General Amy Turner burst into the command center carrying a tablet with urgent reports. Sir, we've lost contact with the Vega defense grid. The new Devourers consumed the entire system in 4 hours. Not 4 days. 4 hours. Harrison felt the weight of galactic civilization pressing down on his shoulders. Through the command center windows, he could see Earth below, still peaceful and beautiful, unaware that it might be living its final days. Dr. Lisa Morgan entered with Admiral Pete Collins, both looking exhausted from days of non-stop work. Collins leaned heavily on his walking cane, his 70-year-old body pushed beyond its limits by the crisis. Jake, Dr. Morgan said quietly, we've finished our analysis of the galactic core structure. What we found? It changes everything. She activated the main holographic display, showing detailed scans of the ancient construct. It's not just a control center for the Devourers, it's a testing facility. This entire cycle of destruction and renewal has been an examination lasting millions of years. An examination of what? Harrison asked. Collins answered, his voice hoarse with fatigue. Of galactic civilization itself. The structure has been waiting for a species capable of stopping the devourers, not just surviving them, but actually interfering with their function. Dr. Kevin Wright appeared on a secondary screen from his research laboratory. Supreme Commander, I've been analyzing the communication protocols from the structure. It's been trying to contact us. It wants to talk. Harrison looked around at his advisors. These people had helped him transform humanity from a dismissed, minor species into the rulers of the galaxy. Now they were telling him that everything they had experienced was part of some ancient test. What happens if we communicate with it? Dr. Morgan looked uncomfortable. Based on our analysis, there are 3 possible outcomes. First, we could activate what the structure calls a reset protocol that would put all devourers back to sleep and restore the galaxy to its pre-crisis state. That sounds good, Turner said hopefully. Except, Wright continued, the reset would isolate Earth behind an energy barrier for 10,000 years. Humanity would be completely cut off from galactic civilization while other species rebuild. Harrison nodded grimly. What's the second option? We accept the role of what the structure calls Galactic Guardians, Crew, Collins explained. We take permanent responsibility for protecting all life in the galaxy from future threats. In return, the structure gives us advanced technology and knowledge. And the third option? Dr. Morgan's voice was barely above a whisper. We activate a quantum cascade device that the structure has been preparing. It would destroy the ancient construct and stop the enhanced devourers permanently. But using it would also destroy all advanced technology in the galaxy. Spacefaring civilization would end for thousands of years. Lieutenant Sarah Brooks approached with an urgent message. Supreme Commander, Captain Davis is reporting massive energy buildup at the galactic core. Whatever we're going to do, we need to decide quickly. Harrison activated the communication system. Captain Davis appeared on screen from her ship, the Pathfinder, still maintaining her dangerous position near the ancient structure. Captain, what's your status? Sir, the structure is preparing to release something new. Our sensors are detecting energy patterns that dwarf anything we've seen from the Devourers. I estimate 6 hours before whatever it's building is completed. Harrison looked at the faces around him. Turner's determined expression, Collins's wise, but tired eyes, Dr. Morgan's scientific curiosity mixed with fear, and Wright's nervous intelligence. These people had trusted his leadership through the greatest crisis in galactic history. Patch me through to the remaining council representatives, Harrison ordered. Within minutes, the holographic display showed the leaders of the 6 surviving alien species. Ambassador Kiktel of the Altarians, General Vexmar of the Krillians, and the others looked to Harrison with a mixture of hope and fear. Honored allies, Harrison began, using the respectful title deliberately. We face a final decision that will determine the future of all life in the galaxy. He explained the 3 options, watching as the alien faces showed shock, confusion, and growing understanding of what was at stake. General Vexmar spoke first. Supreme Commander, the Krillian survivors pledge to support whatever decision Earth makes. You have saved us when our own pride would have destroyed us. Ambassador Kiktel nodded agreement. The Altarian fleet stands with humanity. You have proven yourselves worthy of leadership. The other alien representatives offered similar support, but Harrison noticed something in their voices. It wasn't fear-based submission anymore. It was genuine respect. After the conference ended, Harrison called together Earth's Leadership Council for the final vote. The decision would be made by 5 people: himself, Collins, Turner, Dr. Morgan, and Colonel Danny Hayes, representing Earth's military intelligence. They gathered in a small conference room aboard Haven Station, away from the busy command center. The weight of galactic civilization rested on what they decided in the next few minutes. Before we vote, Harrison said, I want everyone to speak their mind. Turner spoke first. We should choose the Guardian option. Humanity has proven we can lead this galaxy responsibly. We can protect everyone. Dr. Morgan looked troubled. Amy, that means giving up any chance of humanity ever being just another species among equals. We'd be permanently responsible for everyone else's survival. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Hayes said quietly. We've seen what happens when the galaxy is left to govern itself. Ancient species dismiss new threats. Pride leads to extinction. Collins leaned forward on his walking cane. The question isn't whether we can handle the responsibility. The question is whether we should want it. Harrison looked around the table. Pete, you cast the deciding vote. What do you think? The old admiral was quiet for a long moment, his eyes focused on something far away. Finally, he spoke. I've spent my entire life serving humanity. I've watched our species go from being ignored and dismissed to ruling the galaxy. I've seen us make difficult decisions and live with the consequences. He paused, gathering his thoughts. We didn't ask for this responsibility, but we've proven we can handle it. The galaxy needs guardians who remember what it was like to be underestimated and overlooked. That memory will keep us humble. It will remind us that our job is to protect, not to conquer. Collins looked directly at Harrison. I vote for the Guardian option. The vote was unanimous. Harrison activated the communication system to contact Captain Davis. Captain, establish communication with the structure. Tell it we accept the role of Galactic Guardians. What happened next was beyond anything they had expected. The ancient structure responded immediately, sending a data stream that contained millions of years of accumulated knowledge, technical specifications, scientific discoveries, historical records of countless civilizations. All of it flowed into Earth's computer systems. But more than that, the structure began to transform. Over the course of several hours, it reshaped itself into a massive monitoring station, with Earth as its primary control center. Harrison found himself designated as the first human director of galactic defense. The enhanced devourers stopped their attacks immediately. The ancient biological weapons returned to dormancy, but now under human control rather than automated programming. Humanity had not just survived the test, they had passed it completely. 5 years later, Commander Jake Harrison, son of the former Supreme Commander, stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Guardian as it prepared to enter hyperspace. The ship's crew was a mixture of humans and aliens working together as equals, something that would have been impossible during the dark days of the Devourer crisis. The galaxy had healed remarkably quickly under human guidance. The protective compounds were no longer necessary, but humanity maintained its guardian role vigilantly. New threats occasionally emerged from the depths of space, but they were quickly dealt with by the Joint Defense Forces. Young Harrison looked at his mixed-species crew with pride. The Altarian navigator, Kiktel's daughter, worked alongside the human helmsman. The Krillian weapons officer compared notes with the human tactical specialist. These beings didn't see humans as conquerors anymore. They saw them as the species that had saved everyone. Sir, the communications officer reported, we're receiving the final clearance for our mission to the Andromeda Galaxy. Long-range sensors have detected possible threats there. Harrison nodded. Take us out, Lieutenant. As the Guardian entered hyperspace, beginning humanity's first